So Rek'Sai is a heavy ganking focused jungler capable of getting through lanes from creative angles and setting up picks and kills from unwarded areas. Rek'Sai thrives with an early lead and snowballs incredibly quickly with her high damage output. Rek'Sai does however kind of struggle to do much if those early ganks don't pay off, and she has a very one-dimensional playstyle that doesn't really scale too well. So for your main keystone, you'll want to go for Hail of Blades. This is going to help you stack up your Fury quickly so that you can burst your enemies down in an instant. After that, you want to take Cheap Shot for more damage when you knock them up, Eyeball Collection, and finally Relentless Hunter for a bit more map mobility. After that, finish off your runes with Triumph and Legend Alacrity in the Precision tree. For your skill order, you want to max Q first, then your E, and finally finish off with your W, all in order of your damage priority. So let's take a look at some itemization then. Well, Prowler's Claw is the best mythic item for Rek'Sai. Not only does it increase her damage and burst significantly, but it also gives her another gap closer, and she can even use it when she's burrowed, allowing for an easy knockup. After your mythic option, you can get yourself a Edge of Night. This is going to give you a bit of tasty damage early on, but the spell shield is what this item is really picked for. It's going to help prevent any enemies disengaging when you look to engage. You can also get a Sterak's Gauge. This gives Rek'Sai the survivability that she needs to do her job better, with less risk of being punished. Black Cleaver is made for champions like Rek'Sai. Tons more damage, armor shred, and ability haste. What is not to like? Axiom Arc is also an insane item that gives you a lower cooldown on your ultimate when a champion dies 3 seconds after you recently attacked them. This can be insane on this champion, allowing her to gap close and chase her enemies even easier and more often. For some situational items, Guardian Angel is really going to help you out when you're diving those backlines, giving you an extra chance with its revival passive. The stats it brings are also amazing for Rek'Sai, and she can easily benefit from the early stopwatch in clutch situations. A Kempung Chainsword is a must-have if you're facing champions with lots of healing, and Death Dance is a solid option versus lots of physical damage threats, and it also gives you a unique way to stay alive longer and carry those fights. So, against easy matchups, you're going to want to completely abuse your early gank potential and map mobility. Do not just sit around and clear your jungle. Look to invade, set up vision traps, and gank as often as you can whilst you have the upper hand in the jungle. Against harder lanes though, you want to be careful not to meet them in 1v1 scenarios and focus on playing to the opposite side of the map. Just because these matchups are not ideal does not mean you can't abuse your early game strengths though. Find out where the enemy jungler starts and paths, and then look to completely shut down the rest of the map. Try to make sure you don't get counter ganked, as this is what Rek'Sai really struggles with the most, as once she's unburrowed and committed, it's very hard for her to back out. In terms of synergy, Rek'Sai works pretty well into any team composition. However, she really thrives when she's paired with champions who have a little bit of early crowd control. Rek'Sai's E travel time is a little bit slow, but if the enemy is locked up already, that means a guaranteed knockup and genuinely free kills. Champions like Annie or Lissandra in the mid lane, or an engaging support like Leona, are perfect options. So Rek'Sai is actually probably one of the best pre-6 ganking junglers in the game, and you're going to need to abuse this as much as you can. If you aren't ganking in this time, you're simply not playing this champion correctly. You want to make sure you're using unconventional angles to gank from with your E, as this will allow you to bypass wards and abuse those laners in the early game. You'll also want to focus on ganking for lanes that have a little bit of setup CC, as this will mean an easy kill with your follow-up knockup. Once you've got your ultimate, you can dive enemies very easily even if they're feeling safe under their turret, so look to abuse this to carry games easily. For your jungle pathing, on Rek'Sai it's all about ganking as quickly and as often as you can, so focus on hitting level 3 and getting early kills. Typically you want to get those first 4 camps and look to gank as soon as possible. When you're playing blue side, red buff into Raptors, Gromp and then blue can be a great path, allowing you to gank top very quickly. If you're playing red side, you could consider the same path, or instead do blue buff, Gromp, Raptors and then red before ganking. In team fights, you're going to want to look to set up flanks as often as you can. Rek'Sai is not the kind of champion that can just run it down at teams and initiate, as her E is very slow and too easy to disengage from. Get yourself an Oracle Lens and get behind those teams and catch them out with a huge knockup, and this is the best way to have the biggest influence on this champion. Rek'Sai is also an amazing assassin when she's really far ahead, so if you've got a few kills, you can hit an enemy with your long range burrowed Q and then use your ultimate to get in range and burst them down easily. Rek'Sai is also fantastic at cutting out vision and making picks before major objectives. This is an easy way to outnumber enemies and swing those team fights in your favour. For a few quick tips to finish off, you can combo the true damage from your E and your smite to secure objectives easily, as long as you have full fury before doing this. When enemies are stacked up and you want to knock up a specific target, make sure you right click the target you want to knock up rather than unburrowing with your W. Your W will choose one at random and may choose the wrong one, but your right click won't fail you. You want to make sure you're trying to set up tunnels in strategic places around your jungle. These last for up to 10 minutes, so it can save a ton of time while navigating around the map, clearing faster, and getting to lanes quicker to counter gank. That's going to wrap up our short guide on Rek'Sai. Enjoy playing her on the Rift. Take care.